Today on the LA Food Podcast, presented by Rusty's Chips. What the hell is happening at Otium? Where the hell is Chef Tim Hollingsworth? And what are its former employees trying to do about it? We're joined by former Otium employees Rylee, Ratcliff, and Melissa Mendoza for a raw and honest conversation about the exhausting, frustrating, and maddening weeks they've had since the acclaimed downtown restaurant closed its doors for good on September 8th. The former employees still have not been paid. Chef Tim has deleted his Instagram and gone MIA, and Rylee and Melissa tell us what they're doing to try to get what they're rightfully owed and how we can support them. But first, Father Saul joins us to give Chef Tim some PR advice. We talk about LA Taco's latest and greatest Taco 69 list, Ina Garten's salacious new memoir, and why the California legislature is banning farm-raised octopus. Also, Father Saul has some pretty interesting thoughts on Paul Hollywood of The Great British Baking Show, so you're going to want to stick around for that. As always, please consider leaving us a rating or review wherever you listen to podcasts. It's super appreciated. I'm your host, Lucas Servodio, and without further ado, let's chow down. The LA Food Podcast is brought to you by Rusty's Chips. When I review a sandwich, I'm looking for a few different things. I'm assessing the bread, the fillings, the construction, and of course, how much I like eating it. But when I'm deciding whether I want to revisit a sandwich shop again and again, I consider other factors like ambiance, price, and most importantly, what sides and drinks the shop carries to round out the overall experience. When I see a shop carrying Rusty's Chips, I know this is a shop I want to return to time and time again because it tells me that the shop cares about sourcing the best stuff sourced from local companies. Rusty's Chips have been handmade in Huntington Beach since 1986 and contain only 3 ingredients: potatoes, sea salt, and the oil they're cooked in. That's it. The key to Rusty's iconic taste and epic crunch factor is that they're sliced thick and cooked low and slow. I've seen them do it in person, and it's a time-intensive, painstaking process tailor-made to deliver the best tasting chip in the game. Next time you see Rusty's Chips at a sandwich shop, at a grocery store, or wherever, trust me, grab a bag and go to town. And if you want to try them in the comfort of your own home, go to rustyschips.com/discount/LA Countdown for 10% off on your order. Welcoming back to the LA Food Pod, a man who I'm certain has already binged the brand new season of Chef's Table Noodles on Netflix. It's Father Saul. Father Saul, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. I actually am doing even better now because I had no idea that it had dropped. I'd forgotten the date that we had literally discussed together, but fucking psyched for Chef's Table now.
You know, I was saying that intro hopefully because you are obviously the LA Food Pod TV correspondent, so I was just assuming that you would sort of be on top of this shit, my man.
Dude, shockingly, as we discussed last time, Great British Bake Off has taken up a large amount of my food watching attention. More to come on that, by the way, during Shitty Yelp review. That's a teaser.
Oh God.
But yeah, no, I'll get on Chef's Table. I'm excited. Like I said, when we discussed it, I don't think I've watched the last season or two. Like I didn't watch all of Pizza. I just watched the Bianco episode. But I'm super psyched to dive into Noodle, given the relevance of the topic.
Should we make, okay, I think it would be overkill to review the entire season, right? But what if we just did like a quick review, maybe like a mini review on the Evan Funky episode?
I think that has to be done. Yeah, we got to talk about it.
Cool. Okay. I'll see you back here maybe a couple weeks. I'll give you a couple weeks to watch it while you work your way through the Great British Baking Show.
I feel like we can do it next week. I can find 90 minutes or whatever to watch Evan Funky.
I'll have to see if it fits in with our interview schedule. Speaking of our interview schedule, we don't typically do this, because you've accused me, my man, of not actually talking directly to the source, that when it comes to lists especially, we just typically talk about them as opposed to actually talking to the people involved who are making those lists. Well, in the news this week and last week, there's been a ton of trouble over at Otium, the recently shuttered restaurant in downtown Los Angeles, helmed by celebrity chef Tim Hollingsworth. And today we're actually speaking with 2 of their former employees about the situation, Can you believe it? Are we flirting with actual journalism?
I wouldn't go that far, but I'm really excited. I mean, this does seem like the most legit topical conversation we've actually had, like newsworthy and important one. And I'm super interested in it because, and we can dive into the story in a second. Just reading the coverage in the LA Times, I had sympathy for both sides here, right? Like I was.
Oh my God! Do not both sides this, bro.
Wait, okay, let me. I'm not trying to both sides. What I'm trying to say is this. So, based on the coverage that I read, and on the responses from Tim and Carl Schuster, like, okay, just straight up front, like, you have to pay your employees, and even more important, if you don't think you will be able to pay them, you gotta communicate. Like, that's crazy to not give people a heads up. They have lives and pay, like, families to take care of and groceries to buy. Like, you have to at least say, hey, you got to be aware of this. It's really fucked up that didn't happen. At the same time, and maybe I'm just a sucker, I'm a sucker for good accountability language. And when I read the responses from Schuster and Tim, I was like, I think they legitimately do want to solve the problem. Now, if the employees hadn't protested and coverage hadn't happened, who knows if this would have been addressed, which is really, really like the scary and sad thing to think about. Now they have, we don't know the answer, but like the Tim saying he wouldn't take a paycheck until this was solved. Schuster, I think, really seemed to put a lot of weight on his shoulders to figure it out. And I do think based on the story, they may just not have had money. Now, like literally the cash flow, it seems like wasn't there. That being said, you got to pay your employees. And you got to fucking tell them if you're not going to be able to. So I'm going in with like an optimistic angle, hopefully, that this is a situation where all sides were just in a really terrible situation and people are trying to do right to get it solved. But this interview, I think, will be like really informative in terms of actually what went down and the nuances here. So I'm really excited for this conversation.
Yeah, I think it'll be good to hear from the horse's mouth, so to speak. And in case you haven't been following, dear listener, essentially what has happened is as Otium was closing down, the sort of wheels started to come off. They weren't paying their vendors, and eventually they ended up closing and not being able to pay their employees, I want to say like their last few weeks of owed salaries, amounting to like thousands of dollars per employees. And those are paychecks that really make a difference in these people's lives. And since then, there has been a few attempts at paying those paychecks. I want to say that last week, Otium put out an Instagram statement saying that they were going to be paying their paychecks. Employees could actually go to the restaurant and collect the paychecks on the 27th. However, it turns out when employees got there, they only got like part of the paychecks. It was being paid like shadily by like Carl Schuster himself, as opposed to like from Otium and how they typically got their paychecks. And also a lot of folks report, or a couple of folks, I should say, reported not receiving all of what they were owed. And I think more than just a couple of folks reported not being paid late fees, which I think the law mandates if you're not paid on time. So it's an ongoing situation. We're going to talk to the employees about sort of what their next steps are and what they're hoping to do. But I wanted to zero in on the Tim Hollingsworth part of the picture, because this is a fascinating sort of study in how to handle crisis communications in a difficult time, which is something that's particularly pertinent to, well, me, but also you. Tim Hollingsworth was getting a ton of shit on Instagram. He was getting tagged in absolutely everything online by this like page that was started up by Otium employees called like Otium Employees Unpaid Staff or something like that. We'll link to them in the show notes. And it got so bad basically that he deleted his Instagram. Now, to resurrect one of our favorite segments just for this part of the podcast, is that a bad idea or a horrible idea?
Well, I don't know that well, the way I interpret that is, I imagine Tim is going through it right now. Like, his flagship business has failed. Employees that I am like assuming, like giving him the benefit of the doubt that he like cares about and wants to take care of, right? And has been unable to do so. It's got to be really tough, and to get like, you know, called out consistently. For me, like, probably just a mental health call, I'm guessing, for him. I'm not sure, like, it's not like he's solving the problem via his Instagram necessarily. He put a statement out to the Times. He claimed he wouldn't take paychecks. I don't know if we get like the receipts on that necessarily, but I think that's to the extent that I would, like, I don't think deleting your Instagram is necessarily a big foible. It just sounds like a really terrible situation overall, and I'm guessing this was just for him to like mental health. I'm like, that would, for me, that would be it, right? Like, I just like can't deal with like the pressure and constant, and also I don't know how much control he has over solving the issue. itself, right? So that's really hard too.
Yeah, I think one thing though is you don't want to be perceived as hiding in these situations as a leader.
Yeah.
You don't want to be perceived as like burying your head in the sand. So him deleting his Instagram and hiding, I think lessens the impact of
It does.
a pretty good statement that he
Yeah.
made in when he's been interviewed, that he's not going to take paychecks, that he's going to do whatever it takes. I mean, honestly, it would have probably been beneficial to Chef Tim to throw a few bucks at like a PR firm or something and like run Instagram for him for like the next couple weeks or something, because I think that that's a really valuable communications channel that he can't really afford to disengage from at this really critical time, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're making the correct call from a comms perspective here. I had my human empathy hat on with my soulless comms hat. I think you're correct. Although if we're talking about pitching dollars towards a firm, I would rather he pitch dollars towards his actual employees. I actually,
Fair enough.
I don't know. I don't know if like PR would actually be that much like a really overly formal PR response on Insta would actually be the right
Just a friend then.
call, or are you just saying he outsources it?
Yeah, just outsource it to somebody. If you've got to protect your mental health, right? If we're worried about Chef Tim's mental health, right? Like if that's really what's going on, it doesn't, I think, excuse him from being part of this conversation when he's a leader.
Yeah.
He is the leader. What I think this does, so, one thing that I'm going to ask the employees of Otium, and I'm so interested to hear their take, I wonder if this is going to damage Chef Tim's ability to recruit a team moving forward.
Ooh.
Will people, obviously, like people have really wanted to work for him up until now because he was, Thomas Keller's CDC over at the French Laundry. He's done incredible things. He's been on TV. But now that he has this reputation as a boss and in trying times, it may not be the hot ticket that it used to be.
Yeah, I mean, you're like, I think you're exactly right that deleting the Instagram undercuts the message he made to the LA Times a bit, right? Like it does, just from a pure, like, I guess, public perception level, that like my response is, like, how much are you owning this, really, right? It could be the perception.
Yeah.
And you may be right. I don't want to project too far out. Hopefully the situation is resolved like rapidly and correctly, and you may very well be right. I know his other project Chain is getting blowback as part of this too, which is a pretty high profile like work piece of like project in itself, with Chrissy Teigen and like other like sort of famous names attached. So
are you familiar with Chain?
I didn't know about it till reading this story. No, I wasn't familiar. It sounds like a cool idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, not great overall. And look, for this, I mean, this is a situation where I think there's so much behind the scenes, which is why it's great that you're having actual employees come in. I think the ideal would also be to hear from like a transparent interview from the business, which I don't think you would get, but at the very least, getting a story from folks on the ground and what they've experienced will be key here.
Yeah, no, and the thing is, like, by deleting his Instagram, I know that I joked about like doing journalism earlier, but I was actually planning on DMing Chef Tim too and letting him know, like, by the way, I'm speaking with two of your former employees on the podcast. Would you like to say something or offer some sort of comments about sort of where things stand? I wasn't able to do that because he deleted his Instagram, right? So the intentions were there, but, kind of hiding from the conversation, I don't think really serves anybody. You do bring up the point that, even Carl Schuster has really been painted as the bad guy in this situation. And I can see a world in which he is trying to do the right thing, but just can't, like doesn't have the funds to do the right thing. And he's scrambling, working weekends to try to secure the funds to pay these employees. Even so, there's just got to be a better way to handle this. And I think it fundamentally does come down to communications, and not just external communications, but how you communicate to your employees.
Yeah, no, that I think that was, I mean, aside from literally not having the money, sin number one was not being transparent about this up front, I think. And it sounds like there was a pattern of this behavior, like based on them not paying their vendors in the months and weeks before they closed, and being unable to fix broken equipment and things like that. I do think, like, to be fair to Tim, I feel like we're going too far into like prognostication here a little bit, but Tim is, I would imagine, the food face of Otium, strange phrase, but like he's the chef, right? He's the creative energy, whereas Carl Schuster is, I imagine, the business mind, right?
Yeah.
And therefore, yes, I think it should fall primarily on Schuster Tim, being the face of the restaurant and the celebrity he is, yes, should also be out in front. Bro, you know who would own this front to back and wouldn't run?
Who?
Dave Chang, baby. Dave Chang. My boy Dave Chang will be all out in front of this, facing the music.
That's literally just because he's done it so many times.
No, yeah.
It's like Pavlov's dog. The moment something goes wrong, he issues an apology. That's just what he does.
All right.
But but you bring up an excellent point. I do think it's like extremely rare in this business to be both the food face, to use your very eloquent term, and also to know how to run the business and to really be talented at that. And I think that there are very few people in the business who actually have both. I mean, for example, and I'm not just trying to blow smoke up his ass because he's going to be our special guest at our 100th episode live show, but Jackson Kolb is a really talented businessman as well as a talented chef. And he's a nerd about it. He gets in the details. He really cares about that stuff. And I think that kind of leadership in the business, you're kind of a unicorn if you have it.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Colicchio comes to mind as well. I mean, really, any of these like super successful restaurateurs, Wolfgang has this, right? Like, and like these are the legends we're talking about. But I think no matter what, I imagine like Diego Argati of Poltergeist, I'm sure he has like an awareness. I don't know if Diego's diving into Excel spreadsheets necessarily.
I've heard anecdotes that might suggest otherwise, but yeah.
but no, they're like, yes. I mean, I think we've circled this point. Like, there's a responsibility as the public face of the restaurant for Tim to, be there as a source of, information and clarity for his employees to the extent he's possible to do so. It seems like there's been, a domino effect of not great stuff.
Yep, absolutely. So from a story of bad leadership, we're now going to move on to a story of what I think is absolutely exemplary leadership.
Exemplary?
Yeah, exemplary.
Exemplary?
Isn't that the word?
Exemplary, bro. ESL. Exemplary is the word.
I at least know how to write it. That means I know how to write it. I just pronounced it wrong. Esemplario in Italian, okay?
There you go.
The story that I'm referring to is one that multiple news outlets have covered, the LA Times, LA Taco, but there's a new Molino/restaurant that opened at Mercado La Paloma by the name of Comal, and it comes to us from Holbox alum Fatima Juarez. This is unique for a number of reasons. Number one, it's one of the region's only craft Molinos, meaning like what craft tortillerias, right? Where they're nixtamalizing and grinding the corn in-house and making tortillas fresh. But it's also notable because Fatima has been doing this for a long time right across the food hall at Holbox. Actually, when Chef Gilberto was on the podcast, he spent like 10 minutes, I want to say, literally waxing poetic about Chef Fatima's talent, her business drive, and sort of like the fact that she came to him with this idea of, I want to work with corn. And he basically like paved the way for her to do this within his restaurant. And now she's moving on and opening her own business. And this just struck me as like an incredible example of like great mentorship and leadership. These stories maybe are happening all the time, but we're not often hearing of them, right? And I'm really happy that this part of the story made its way into the LA Times and also into LA Taco.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think and hope this kind of championing of employees happens. Look, it's part of the message of the most recent season of The Bear, right? Like the dynamic between leaders who are not particularly supportive and valuing of people versus those who cultivate and support and build talent, right? And the anecdotes in this story were really cool to see. I also, the project is a really cool one as well. And my immediate reaction was actually, I feel like there's a little bit of a moment happening around heritage corn, masa, the nixtamalizing process, all that. But from the former Top Chef champion, Gabe, who will not be named, he spoke about nixtamalization and the importance of the process. In Seattle, Milpa Masa and Mais Molino have recently kind of emerged as like two craft Molinos and masa providers in the city itself. And that's, I mean, Seattle, not necessarily known for its like thriving Mexican, cuisine or food scene. So
shots fired.
I feel like I have the authority to say it a little bit, but though it is growing. I mean, so the point being, it's a really cool trend to see. In the Puyol episode of Chef's Table, Enrique Olvera, he speaks to that as well. And when he started Puyol, making sure that they use corn so it would particular strands of corn so they wouldn't go extinct, right? And making sure that they persisted to maintain the heritage. It seems like over the last decade and with increasing sort of focus now, this is an interest. I'm really excited. I mean, also the fucking product is so great.
Yeah.
Like there's I literally, when I go to Milpa Masa here, I pick up the tortillas and just smell them through the bag.
Wow.
Like you can just like the smell is like so good, and you can tell the difference from your obviously like grocery store chain tortilla. So really cool project and really cool story of championing of talent and an employee from Chef Satina.
Is that what you use when you're cooking your way through the Guerrilla Tacos cookbook?
Yeah, every time. Has to be. Like, it totally changes the taco. I mean, when I couldn't make it down, I like swung by Whole Foods. Couldn't make it down to the Milpa Masa. I swung by Whole Foods. Just an entirely different taco experience. We know this to be true, right? And like, yeah, it's a fucking game changer. And also just good with everything. You can just have those tortillas straight up. They're so delicious. So
yeah, really
cool project. Really cool. Really hope to visit Kamal next time I'm in LA.
I'm really excited about it. But Saul, on the topic of mentorship, I wanted to ask you, how can I better mentor you as a podcast co-host?
Oh my God, where to begin? So let's have you ever said to me, "Don't worry, you got it"? As I'm trying. Well, to be fair, I think mentorship first starts with like ambition on my end, which we could question the extent to which how committed I am to that process. But bro, I'm your tadpole. Guide the way.
What are you passionate about
in the podcasting game?
Yeah.
my goal in life, not in fucking life. My goal on this podcast, just be Chris Ryan.
Yeah.
I want to be Chris Ryan one day, man.
Okay.
He's the one. He's the vision.
We'll find ways to nurture that passion of yours on this podcast. Beware, listeners.
I fundamentally don't think I have the charisma. And I also know our listeners probably have no idea who I'm talking about, but
I have a feeling a couple of our listeners do, if you know what I mean. Speaking of tacos and tortillas, LA Taco released its annual list of the 69 best tacos in Los Angeles. This is the first year they actually ranked the list. Bold?
Bold, baby.
How do you feel about like a ranked list as opposed to an unranked list?
I mean, look, it's I won't call it a gimmick, right? Because these are subjective judgments fundamentally, right? As we discussed. So there's really, I think, no objective way to say this taco is one and this taco is two. But I really like the process, at least, right? It's fun to know not just, hey, these are the top 69 like tacos according to LA Taco in the city. I mean, you look at a list of 69 tacos, your eyes that are unranked, your eyes could glaze over, right?
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh my God, where do I begin? When it's ranked, you can kind of like obviously say, hey, we're going to number 1 through 10. I guess the downside, as I'm saying that, is maybe number 69 doesn't get as much shine if it's ranked, because it sounds like being the number 60 best taco on the list sounds not as good. But I do like the project, at least in the attempt.
It sounds not as good, but if you think about it, they're not just doing taquerias, they're doing literally individual tacos. So in a city that has thousands of taquerias and probably hundreds of thousands of individual tacos, big number 69 is pretty fucking good.
Hundreds of thousands. I wonder if that's a reasonable estimate. That seems like a lot, dude. Hundreds of thousands of tacos?
I mean, yeah. I would venture that the over-under is 100,000.
Wow. I could see it, right? Because if you're at like a taco truck that has like 12 different meats, I guess they're each technically a unique taco.
Yeah.
All right, I'll roll with it. Yeah, no, I think fair point. And it's a cool project. I will say, I think some great inflation on Via's tacos. Number 20.
We're going to get there. Wait, I did want to ask you, as our methodologies are, what did you think of their methodology? It was basically like 2 sentences. They ranked quality of meats, tortillas, salsas, regional representation or originality, consistency, and accessibility in that order.
And critically, a certain quote unquote X factor also went into play. I thought this to me was great. Because again, we know like these are like the categories are clear.
Yeah. The
subjectivity and judgment is going to be broad, but at least we know what they're looking for. And I appreciate they called out the X factor piece.
Yeah.
Right. Like as like hey, there's something sometimes something ineffable about a particular like food experience you have. So no, I thought I appreciated that they laid this out.
That is interesting. And I actually take into consideration X factor when I did my sandwich scores last year, because I think that matters. I think you have to leave some room for subjectivity in there. I tried to gauge it based on like, how long would I wait in line to have the sandwich again? Basically meaning like, how craveable is it? How much do I actually fuck with it? Like myself, right?
Yeah.
And I think that is, it's obviously going to change from person to person, But when you're trying to create like an empirical list, like you got to have something to like sort of differentiate between already excellent sandwiches or tacos. Now, the winning taco was ... a newcomer, Taqueria Frontera's Al Pastor. This is over here, not too far from us in Cypress Park. Thought this was really interesting. It's a brand new taco. They went with an al pastor taco as this like basically like well-known taqueria in Tijuana that finally opened up a location here in Los Angeles. Everybody's really excited about it.
Mhm.
I haven't tried it. I'm willing to bet my firstborn child that you have not tried it, Saul.
I have not. No.
So let me just ask you this. What's your number one taco in LA right now?
I mean, I have a much smaller world to go off of. Although I do have one that's high up on this list, and when I read the question in our agenda, first thing that came to mind, soft shell crab taco at Simone. Like that's like a unique, like totally unique taco experience. I'd not had like soft shell crab in a taco before, and I think it's like a perfect taco. We had it at EatsCon initially, and then I went back my most recent trip to LA and like tracked down Simone by myself just to have it again. So that immediately sprung to mind, and I think it's up here pretty high actually, top 10 maybe.
Wow, that means you have good taste.
I do have good taste. You know, that's why I'm here, man.
I think for me, my favorite taco, my number one taco. There's many contenders. I definitely think like the carne asada at La Carreta over in Whittier is amazing. Big fan of obviously the carnitas at Carnitas El Momo. I know you're a carnitas hater. I agree with them that whole Bosch should be really high up, but I don't think that their best taco is the pulpo en su tinta. I think the pulpo en su tinta is amazing, but my favorite taco at Holbox is the smoked Kenpachi taco.
Yeah.
It's their house smoked Kenpachi with queso chihuahua, salsa cruda, avocado, and critically their house-made peanut chili oil, aka salsa macha. I just think there's nothing quite like that taco in LA. And that's the one that like, whenever I'm there, I'm like, I should have just gotten 10 of these.
Yeah. And that was a standout dish from our dinner at Holbox for sure. Also, I'm going to clarify Simone is 15 on the list. I'm still happy with that ranking.
That's pretty good.
I'll still take it. Yeah.
Well, you nodded to the fact that Via's made number 20, but based on the fact that they take into consideration X Factor, and the fact that the first line in their review is Victor Villa's personality is larger than life, safe to assume that actually taste-wise is probably even lower than 20?
I don't know. I don't know sure, maybe X Factor. Actually, I will go ahead and assume X Factor played a big role in boosting them. Also, like, dude, I'm even just looking at the picture of this chorizo taco. Like, nah,
You're
not about it.
Such a dick. Well, what do you think that says about Taco Madness? Because obviously they win Taco Madness every year, yet they only make number 20 on the list.
Yeah, Taco Madness is a popularity contest to an extent, right? Like we've covered that. I mean, what is that a bad thing to say? It's an online poll, right?
It's true. I just feel like nobody wants to say it. Do you know what I mean? I feel like it's sort of like LA's best kept secret is that Taco Madness is just a popularity contest.
Wait, I'm confused. How is this a secret? It's an online poll. Every online poll is a popularity contest to some extent. Dude, if Bill Esparza is willing to say it, I'm fucking willing to say it.
Speaking of Bill Esparza, actually, it was really interesting, but he dropped his updated list of best 38 tacos on Eater the same day that they dropped this. I just don't think that was a coincidence.
It may not have been a little bit of counter programming. Do we already need an updated 30? Like, I feel like the whole Vias versus Bill thing just happened like a couple months ago. Do we already need an updated 38 best tacos? I feel like that should be an annual list at most.
No, I'm with it. I'm with updating it regularly because I think like there's so many awesome tacos, and I feel like more so than almost any other food in LA, tacos like pop up like crazy in LA. It feels like every few months there's like a new family doing something out of their backyard or like somebody else who's like trying a new regional style. So honestly, I think if Bill could update it every month, he would.
I believe that too. And to the very point, the number one taco on this list is a newcomer as well, right? So point taken.
Are we going to Tacos La Frontera next time that you're in town?
Yeah, 100% we are. 100% we are. Dude, I need to crush this whole list, man. I got to get educated.
You do. You finally need to prove to the people that you're not just a charlatan.
Is that the accusation? Look, yeah, I have to continue to build my bona fides. Actually, dude, no, I don't. I got perspective. I got fucking taste. Whatever I eat, I fucking understand it, bro.
That's right. That's right.
I don't know what I'm saying right now.
No,
This is
it's
ridiculous.
true. You're a taste maker. You know, you don't even need to taste things to make that taste. Okay, look. Last thing I want to talk to you before we move on to our wonderful new segment, Chef's Kiss, Big Miss, is the fact that Ina Garten has been doing quite a bit of press to promote her new memoir. She's done a New York Times interview. She even went on Matt Rothbard's podcast, This is the Taste. She's apparently been pretty pissed that people are focusing on the most salacious parts of the memoir, including her abusive dad and the time she almost divorced Jeffrey. Saul, what do you think of the Barefoot Contessa's indignation that people only want the salacious parts of her memoir?
I don't know. Okay, it's obvious that people would go there. It's fair for her to be upset. I'm not a Ina Garten like head. I'm not a Barefoot Contessa stan. She can live her life. She can be upset about what people are drawn to or not. I gotta be honest. It's probably why you write a memoir, and what people are drawn to in a memoir is like the personal story they didn't know about you. So it makes sense.
It was just funny in the New York Times article because literally the entire sort of premise of the article is Ina Garten is mad that you're focused on this part of her memoir, and then literally just spends like the next 6 paragraphs on those 2 parts of her memoir.
Dude, low-key, I feel like it's just genius marketing, right? It's like, don't look over here. Don't look over here in my memoir. Don't buy my memoir for these salacious stories I would hate if you read them. No, that sounds like very serious stuff, actually. I don't mean to make light of it.
Low-key, Ina Garten is a genius, bro. Like, one of the most surprising things I've learned about her is that her previous life before becoming the Barefoot Contessa, which actually started as a store in West Hampton Beach, New York, and that's where she got the name. She like joined that store, leaving a job of writing nuclear energy policy papers for the White House. That's fucking crazy.
That is a wild career shift. Yeah, I can't tell if it makes me. Obviously, she's just a multi-talented person like that. Like, we can make that clear. At the same time, I was like, yo, our policy papers could be written by the Barefoot Contessa. Are we sure? Are we sure our nuclear policy's on point? No, of course I'm sure she was very competent at that job.
You're gonna need this much uranium. Store-bought is fine.
What is that in reference to?
Jokes are always the best when you have to explain them. But one of her famous sort of like taglines is when she's, walking through a recipe, sometimes she'll bring up an ingredient or some sort of thing like mayonnaise, right? That she has homemade at home, but she sort of always like acknowledges that like store-bought is fine, And that's like one of her, like if she had merch, store-bought is fine would be her merch.
Given that context, I think that was actually a good joke, bud.
Thanks, dude.
Good job.
Thanks. It would have been better if I had a more competent podcast co-host. Maybe I can mentor you on that. Were you ever into those cooking shows?
Well, Alton Brown was the only one that like caught my eye, and he was like a unique sort of voice in it. Like, he took a different tact. No, the Rachel Ray style cooking live, like that specifically actually turned me off from cooking. I think they were like they just like didn't grab me in the same way, and they were on in my house just like in the background, as I think they often are. That stuff made cooking seem less accessible to me, and it wasn't but when Alton got in there and started getting like weird food or like weird science food takes and stuff like that, then I was in.
Yeah.
Then I was in. And competition, obviously.
Really? No, I used to watch those like recipe shows. My favorite personally was Jamie Oliver. I do think like there is something going on where like I felt a little self-conscious watching those shows. I moved to America when I was 18. And one of the ways that I sort of like got over like nostalgia was by cooking recipes or learning recipes that reminded me of home, right?
Yeah.
And I would just turn on the Food Network and watch all of these shows, right? There's a voice in your head that tells you, I shouldn't be watching this. Like I should be like out there exploring LA or like doing cool shit. Like, whereas I am literally watching something that is designed for a very different demographic than me. And I think that's safe to say as an 18-year-old, right? However, that said, I gravitated towards Giada De Laurentiis. I gravitated towards Jamie Oliver. And yes, there was something magnetic about the Barefoot fucking Contessa, bro. She made it so accessible. And part of it is that store-bought is fine approach. She was like an early pioneer of the intuitive cooking. It's like, yes, I'm going to show you the recipe, but whatever you have on hand, that's probably fine too. You got to respect that.
I suppose you do. And I feel like this reflects a difference in our personalities, where when someone like walks me through how to do something, I'm like, don't tell me what to do. I don't need to know. Like, I don't want to listen to you. But when I see competition and some dudes like excelling, I'm like, I could do that. I could do that better, probably. And it's like like for me, when I like watch like Top Chef, that gets me inspired to cook, and I learn. I mean, I don't like. Maybe I learned via osmosis or something. I'm like, yo, I want to go try that. I feel like I have the confidence to go and give it a shot. Versus those like Rachel Ray, Giada shows, I was like, oh my god, like I don't have all this mise en place in place. Your kitchen looks completely different from mine.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Just stop talking to me.
Well, let me ask you this: have you ever actually picked up a real tip or trick or learning from a show like Top Chef or other competition shows that you actually use in your kitchen?
It's a good question. I think yes. In terms of it's less specific cooking tips and more a sense of what I should be looking for, right? Like, no, it's real, right? Like,
Literally, it sounds like you're literally just saying it's less like cooking and more like how I'm supposed to look while I'm cooking, like the sort of gravitas of my face.
No, dude, it's kind of like actually. So one like you ever? I don't know if you ever did this in the classroom, but like when I was learning, when I was like in AP English or whatever, and they were like prepping us for the AP test, something that they would do is give us essays that were ranked at different levels, and they're like, "This is what a great essay looks like. This is what like a mid essay is, and this is what a poor one is." And it's kind of like that when you're like watching. Okay, this is what quality looks like. This is what it consists of. I may not know exactly how to do it yet, but at least I have like a guiding North Star that points me towards it versus watching like some middle-aged white woman make some mid dish, right? I don't know why I'm being so spicy. I don't have this much like venom for these shows.
Look, it's a personal preference. For me, I'm someone who very much needs directions to the point where my wife like makes fun of me for not being able to cook intuitively, for always needing a recipe. I'm not that way anymore. I feel like I've learned my way into certain techniques and like flavor combinations where I can definitely cook up a meal. But I was deeply insecure about cooking when I first started, and I needed like hand holding and instructions. So having those mise en place, and like I used to make mise en place in my kitchen, bro, and have the little things just to like literally not miss a step. Like I was that kind of student.
I mean, look, that's good. That's good. Like habits, right? That's what they tell you you're supposed to do. So you got the fundamentals down. You're actually reminding me not to take us off track. I know we got to get to Chef's Kiss or Big Miss, but
this is an important conversation.
No, absolutely. The New York Times has a recipe book they pulled together, and it's right over on my table. I can't go grab it right now, but I'll pull up the author next time and tell you about it. And it's literally an intuitive like cookbook. Right. So it's like he has the recipes and it's basically like lists the ingredients, barely like I don't even know if he even gives amounts. He's like, this is what you need. And then the instructions are essentially like, yeah, like toss it in there for a minute, like just like feel it out and like basically encouraging you not to use a step-by-step manual and build your cooking skill by, checking, like building your own taste.
Yeah.
Right. Which I think is a really cool idea.
That's where I think TikTok recipes and cooks have actually been like good for encouraging intuitive cooking. You might think because you get to see them do step by step, it would be the opposite. But actually, the fact that they're not listing out all their ingredients and stuff, and you're just kind of seeing them feel out the process, you kind of see what like garlic is supposed to look like when it's like slightly browned, but it's not burned yet, all this stuff. I think it's actually it's certainly helped me. There's this Italian chef, Max Mariola. Have you ever seen one of his videos?
I probably have, but he doesn't come to mind.
He's this like super jacked guy from Rome. He's like very jacked, probably like 50 years old, has like salt and pepper hair, usually shirtless for some reason in just an apron. And his tagline is "the sound of love" as he like swishes pasta around. Little disturbing, actually.
Okay, I can say for sure I've never seen this.
I would have been surprised because his recipes are all in Italian, so you wouldn't have really gathered much. But I love his videos because he very much encourages that intuitive approach. And I don't actually think you need to speak Italian to know his videos, so I'm going to link him in the fucking show notes, okay? Max Mariola, The Sound of Love. But honestly, I think TikTok has made me like a way better cook than the Food Network shows ever did because they encourage more of that intuitive cooking.
Yeah, I mean, look, if we're being real, no, I did not learn how to cook from Top Chef specifically, but like YouTube channels, dude, like that dude can cook, and like there's like a million different channels I follow. Those have actually made me a better cook. Ironically, those are kind of in the mold of more of like
exactly
a little bit, but they have just a bit more like they're more personable and like dynamic, I'd say, than like the structure of those like cable television shows or whatever, network television shows. So
the only tip I've ever learned from Top Chef, and it's one I can never use, is if you deep fry cherry tomatoes or tomatoes in general, it makes it like flash fry them for a moment in the deep fryer. It makes it super easy to peel off the skin. Unfortunately, I don't have a restaurant quality deep fryer, so I've never been able to use that fucking tip. But I did learn that on Top Chef.
There you go.
All right, buddy. Well, that was an enthralling conversation in which we kind of intuitively walked through the agenda, not really following the direction. So I'm really proud of us.
Look, in the spirit of the conversation, we did it. Also, are you allowed to call your own conversation enthralling? Is that for us to decide?
I'm enthralled. And there have been plenty of conversations in which I'm not enthralled. So it says something. We've come to the time of day, which is our new segment, Chef's Kiss, Big Miss. Are you ready for it?
Let's do it, baby.
Jelena chef Travis Lett reopened his mountain restaurant spelled MTN with a new name. It's on Abercrombie, and the new name is RVR, which is supposed to be pronounced river.
Oh, I thought Rover.
You're kind of giving me a spoiler.
Yeah.
Is this Chef's Kiss or Big Miss?
I mean, look, I don't think it matters that much. It can just be RVR, but I guess relative, it's a little bit trying too hard for the simplicity. I guess I should have connected mountain and river, right? I wasn't doing a very good word association there, but I was like, Rover, okay, that's a cool restaurant name, I guess.
But you kind of need to know that the previous iteration was mountain in order to get river. I was literally like, RVR, like what it sounds like a new Nissan or something, you know?
Well, what I will say is, does mountain and river reflect the type of cuisine? Like, is it going to be more like freshwater fish in river versus like produce and meat in mountain? Is that like a part of the concept?
I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I didn't read the article closely enough, but here's what I would guess. Okay, we actually went to mountain for my wife's birthday a couple years into us dating, and it was really, really good. It was an awesome like izakaya. I'm seeing river build more as like Japanese Californian cuisine.
Yeah.
Sort of like Japanese cuisine through a California lens. My guess is like mountain maybe was supposed to indicate like more tradition, and river is a little bit more like flowing, you know, fluid, you might say.
High concept. Okay. I'll roll with that. I feel like that's maybe definitely not the intent behind it, but if you're right, that's crazy.
Well, Mr. Lett, you're always welcome on this podcast to let us know why your new restaurant's name is not a Big Miss and actually a Chef's Kiss. Okay, moving on to the next one. Giada De Laurentiis, of all people who we've actually spent time talking about today, went on the infatuation to share her favorite restaurants in LA. Have you looked at this list, Chef?
I did. I like that. I like that. Let's stick with that. I did check this out. Yeah.
Chef's Kiss or Big Miss?
I would put this in the more Chef's Kiss range. I mean, relative to Tate McRae, it's a big Chef's Kiss, right?
Yeah.
And what I appreciate, like, I do actually believe she put all these on there. I feel like she put a mix of like, you know, like well-known hits, the John and Vinny's, the Anna Jack, right, for familiarity, but like Canyon Grocer and Toscana, I feel like I believe that she like eats there all the time. So I think it's cool. It's like a legitimate list of places Giada goes, yeah, this is good. Probably one of the better entries in the series that I think I've seen.
Yeah, I would agree. I really like the Toscana shout because it is just like a neighborhood Italian restaurant. And she literally just like describes getting pasta aglio olio, which is the Italian equivalent of mac and cheese. Like it's our comfort food that we have when we're sick or late at night, right? So I liked that shout. I think it's a little bit of a miss to like put like literally one of the best reviewed restaurants on the infatuation on the list. Like it's like Anna Jack. Come on, everybody's going to put Anna Jack on their list. Maybe that's just me being a stickler, but I just expect more from people. I want people to be unique. Okay,
fair enough. Yeah, I do for whatever reason find it hard to believe she like frequents Anna Jack. I don't know why. This is completely like unfair to like.
I've recently seen Instagram posts of her there.
Oh.
On God, I think she's been once. And she went recently, and it's more so like recency bias. That's what I think it is.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm fair. I enjoy armchair psychologizing these lists, right? Remember, like Tate McRae, we were like, "This was written by a PR firm. There's no way she knows any of these spots." Yeah,
Tate McRae's like list was literally just AI generated by an entry level PR person. That's what that was. But I will say, Tate McRae, incredible dancer.
If you say so,
dude. She's bringing the Britney thing back. I'm telling you.
Oh wow.
Okay, last one. Chef's Kiss or Big Miss. It's now illegal to farm octopus for human consumption in California. Governor Newsom just signed the bill. Did you have a chance to read this article?
I did not read the article. I read the headline. That's the like the gambit with Chef's Kiss or Big Miss. It's off top.
Off the top, tell me if you think this is a Chef's Kiss or a Big Miss.
Off top, I would imagine it's Chef's Kiss because I mean, look, Yeah, like I don't have like the vegan morality. Maybe I should, right? Of like not eating animals. I will say octopus are like highly intelligent creatures, right? And it like of like if you think about it too long when you're eating octopus, which I really enjoyed like eating, like it's kind of fucked up to eat octopus. I mean, we can go down. I could say it's kind of fucked up to eat anything, probably with a heartbeat, possibly true. I don't live by that. I have no problem with outlawing the hunting of octopus in California.
Well, there's a key word you use there that actually makes me think this is a big miss. And it makes me tempted to introduce a new segment on this podcast called Let Me Cook.
Ooh, cook, baby.
So Saul and I have talked about introducing a new segment on the podcast called Let Me Cook, where we basically get to rant about something that bothers us. And as I was reading this article, which I thought was just going to be a throwaway chef's kiss or big miss, the hypocrisy of it all really got me, bro. The law basically outlaws the farming of octopus in California for human consumption, right?
Okay.
And it was done for the reasons you stated, right? It's been proven that like octopus are really intelligent beings. They're like able to solve complex problems. They're able to like communicate in complex ways. They're probably the smartest creatures on the planet, except for humans. Most humans, I might add.
Dolphins, baby. Don't forget dolphins. But anyway.
Hashtag never forget dolphins. But the reason this is kind of just virtue signaling is because farming of octopus in California for human consumption doesn't even really happen, apparently. It happens in other states, and there's nothing on the books that prevents restaurants in other places from getting their octopus from farms that raise them in other states. Now, you could kind of excuse that as being like Governor Newsom being like, look, when California sneezes, the rest of the country catches a cold. We're going to basically like do what's right and hope other states follow our suit. However, what about wild octopus? And I was thinking about this because like, does this mean we're never going to eat octopus again on menus? And I was like, no, okay, well that means like they could still like hunt for octopus in the wild. And then I thought, wait a goddamn second. If we are worried about hurting octopus that have been farmed and don't even know the wild, but are still like, you know, able to like think critically and like solve problems. What about a fucking octopus out in the wild who has been solving problems and is smart as fuck in the wild? And then all of a sudden we come in as interlopers to like hunt them down and kill them? How is that any better than actually just like killing the farmed octopus? To me, it seems arguably worse. To me, this law makes absolutely no logical sense. And I feel like it's just virtue signaling of the highest degree.
First of all, let me just say about the Let Me Cook segment. I obviously enjoying it a lot. Love the idea. I will say basically our entire podcast functions as a Let Me Cook. So I feel like we need to like differentiate what is a Let Me Cook segment versus just us talking about fucking Jamie Oliver angrily for some reason.
Yeah.
Sure. I feel like there's a million. Like this is like typical fucking state politics, man, or any politics. You'd pass some virtue signaling legislation, make like some small group of people happy, make nobody mad. That's the fucking political win, right? This is like a easy low value number on the board. When you were pointing out the differences, like why would we allow for the fishing? I like how we said hunting instead of fishing of octopuses. like they carry the respect when it's an octopus you hunt. And literally when you were like what's the big difference between farming an octopus versus like catching one in the wild? And I was like, thrill of the kill, baby. You gotta earn it. You gotta outsmart the octopus. That's how you know I don't believe this, but there was a look. I don't know. Is this really worth that much conversation? It's like
no. It just pisses me off because I'm just like, look, if we're gonna decide as a society that it's bad to kill octopus because they're smart, okay? I'm going to feel so guilty now when I go to a restaurant and I have like a wild caught octopus or something because I'm like, the only sin this guy committed is being born in the wild, you know? That's it.
This is a weird thing to get up in arms about, but I think for the record, I think you're on like the morally correct side here.
Does it often happen?
Yes, it's hypocritical, I guess. The one thing I'll point out is maybe there's something particularly, there are other externalities related to octopus farming. Like maybe the conditions are maybe farming octopus is particularly inhospitable, right? And therefore an especially bad practice given their intelligence, right? Like I can see an angle on that line. Also, dude, who has the balls to have an octopus farm? That sounds crazy to me. How do you even make that work? That sounds like this. Like, honestly, sounds like the scariest job on earth to me. Like, I can't imagine even trying that. But I would imagine part of it is like, yeah, like raising octopus for slaughter, given like their like level of intelligence is like particularly unpalatable. But again, it's frankly, it's not like a big leap to go from octopus to cows, right? Like, you don't, like, what's our we are only allowed to eat dumb animals? That doesn't really make sense, right? Like, if we feel this about octopus, theoretically you feel it about any animal, right? Like,
I guess what's that documentary about the octopuses?
oh,
My Brilliant Friend.
my something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess nobody's made that kind of documentary about cows yet, and that's the difference.
I actually feel, well, maybe not about how smart cows are, but there's literally a documentary called Cow that follows the tragic life of a farmed cow. This is actually like Emily watched the trailer for this, and that's why she was like, we should be like pescatarian. And it's a real thing. Look, there's a lot of, I don't know, man.
I think there's a lot of benefit to thinking about how you can consume meat most ethically, and that's why I like a brand like First Light Farms, by the way, because like,
yeah,
they ensure the cows only have one bad day. And that's all about like, that's like their philosophy, right? It's like they live the best. Yeah, I heard it as I was saying it. It's not the best slogan in the world at the end of the day, because that day is really fucking bad.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like we should move on. We this has been a loopy podcast, dude. I told you before I came on, I'm exhausted. This has been a weird one.
Yeah, that'll probably do for today. Do you have a Shitty Yelp review of the week for us?
Okay, I do. Not for me. In the spirit of that Shitty Yelp review I gave to John Lovett a couple weeks ago, I have one for Paul Hollywood. I do. So as we've discussed, I've decided to go deep on Great British Bake Off. Current season is out. Apparently the current season is really chaotic. Like, contestants are collapsing and one of them had to drop out. Crazy stuff. It is on Netflix already. At least the first episode is. Maybe the second one is out at this point as well. Paul Hollywood. When we spoke about Great British Bake Off back when we were like had the initial debate about it, I said a show like this that so insists on having good vibes and being feel good has a darkness at its core, right? It always there's nothing is this clean. My guy, Paul Hollywood. First of all, I don't know why I'm doing this. There's no reason for this at all. Sorry to call, but it's on Wikipedia. It's public knowledge. As I was getting into Great British Bake Off and wanting to learn more about the hosts and like their backgrounds, I read this about Paul Hollywood's personal life. Okay, Paul Hollywood moved to Cyprus and lives in Cyprus for the majority of his life. First of all, shady. Who goes to Cyprus from England? It's feels like a tax haveny kind of vibe. There he met his wife, and in 2013, separated from her after Paul had an affair with his co-judge on the American baking competition, Paul Hollywood.
Wow.
Kind of a slut. Bad word. I would never use that word to describe like women, but
we can slut shame Paul Hollywood. That's fine.
Dude, after that, so he has the affair, then reconciles with his wife, and then breaks up with her to date a 21-year-old when he was 51 years old. What's going on here? Then broke up with her and got married again. I don't know why I feel like I don't know why this is so important to me. It blew my mind. Can you imagine Tom Colicchio having this background? Like they're analogs, right? And I just can't look at him and like now. Yeah. Every time I see him on screen, I'm like, this is not just like a whimsical baker.
That's what it is.
With like a kind of stern vibe. This is a dog, dude. This is a dog. You like look in his eyes different. I'm like, this guy, dude, him and Prue, just co-hosts? Who knows, man? There's history here. So anyway, Paul Hollywood, half a star. I am sorry for talking about your personal life on this podcast. You will never listen to this. I don't feel good about being gossipy, but it blew my mind.
You never know. The judge from Five Star Chef, is that what it was called, did listen to our podcast on the episode. So, you never know. Maybe, Paul, if you're listening, I'm a big fan. I think you've got beautiful eyes. In fact, the way that you were building this up, Father Saul, I thought you were going to say he was pictured at a Diddy Freak Off or something. Like literally, like what you said is not great. It's not great. But yeah, I mean, who are we to judge, right? Like, dude, I think what makes it horrible is that he has a cookie cutter clean image, right? Mm-hmm. Like you don't want to find out that like Blue's Clues has been banging the nanny.
What the fuck?
It's just
what are your analogies, dude?
Have you never seen Blue's Clues?
Blue's Clues is a dog, right? Like,
All the more shocking, right?
concerning. Yeah, that would be concerning. Yes.
Yeah, I guess what I mean is like it's the fact that he has this like wholesome family image that makes it all the more shocking, right?
Absolutely. That's why I think so passionately about this, because I knew, like I said, I called this. I was like, this is not this can't all be squeaky clean. There's some darkness here, and I read it, and I was like, I fucking knew it.
Mhm.
I feel bad. I feel bad just like talking about this at all. But I also really want to get off my chest. So thank you for this moment. Half star for Paul Hollywood.
My shitty Yelp review of the week actually goes to you because I feel like this whole shitty Yelp review of the week has been a personal vendetta to find the darkness of the show. So I'm going to give you 2 stars for that.
Fair enough. I don't think that. Look, someone's got to call him out. Someone's got to shine light on the truth. By the way, just random question. Who do you think's hotter, Tom Colicchio or Paul Hollywood?
Oof. I mean, if I just put them side by side and didn't hear them speak, I would probably say Paul Hollywood. But once I hear them speak and I see their demeanor, Tom Colicchio all day. What do you think?
Literally my same response. Yeah, it's the correct response. Emily thought this was a hot take, but no, I think that's exactly the right take.
No, Emily's wrong on this one. Hey, okay, we've literally done enough today. We've done arguably too much. So let me finish on this note. How do you feel about wage theft?
What if I was like, I fucking love wage theft? No, not great. And as we kicked off with this conversation, this is like, I think one of the more, not since the Bill Esparza conversation have we like really dove into like a news topic so topical, and this one like miles more important than a vendetta between a reviewer and a restaurateur. So really looking forward to the conversation. Don't fuck it up. This is important.
We'll be back right after the break with Melissa Mendoza and Rylee Ratcliff, former employees of Otium. The LA Food Podcast is brought to you by House of Macadamias. Dear listener, do you have a favorite nut? Here's why I've happily given that title over to the macadamia. First, it's chock full of nutritional benefits, including one of the best omega 6-3 ratios in the nut game. 8 times better than pistachios and 20 times better than cashews. Cashew? More like cash-ew. Second, it's super versatile. You can have them as a snack. You can find tons of applications to include them in your cooking. You can even use the oil for cooking, in addition to using it for skin and health purposes. If you want to get in on the macadamia game, head to the LA Food Pod page on houseofmacadamias.com to access my curated list of macadamia products. We've got extra virgin cold-pressed macadamia oil, savory macadamia snack packs, and salted or unsalted macadamia nut butter. All great for snacking, all great for cooking. The best part is, when you buy an LA Food Pod bundle on houseofmacadamias.com, you'll instantly get a free multi-pack of macadamia snack bars featuring flavors like chocolate, white chocolate, and coconut white chocolate. And if you subscribe to our bundle, you get a 15% discount on all of it. And don't worry, you can pause, cancel, or adjust the subscription at any time. So what are you waiting for? Head to www.houseofmacadamias.com/pages/LA-foods and go nuts. Joining us today on the LA Food Podcast, it's Rylee Ratcliff and Melissa Mendoza, former employees of Otium. I can only imagine the last few weeks have been pretty exhausting. So, maybe better than how are you doing is how are you holding up? Rylee, I'll start with you.
I'm exhausted. I feel like I've been putting like equal amount of hours into this as I was whenever I actually worked there, and just like fighting to get the money that they owe me and everyone else. So I'm tired.
Yeah, justifiably so. I want to hear, obviously all about all that you guys experienced in your last weeks at Otium, and obviously in the last week plus as you've been fighting to get the wages that you're owed. But before I'd like to zoom out and quickly understand what your positions were at Otium and how long you worked there. Melissa, maybe we can start with you.
So I was a server at Otium for like 8.5, almost 9 years. So I was there for quite some time.
Wow. Yeah, that's a really long time. That's longer than I've ever been at any job. So kudos to you. How about you, Rylee?
I was a barista there, and I worked there a little over 1.5 years.
And so prior to, the proverbial shit hitting the fan, what were your experiences at Otium like? Would you overall characterize it as a positive working experience?
I think that the most positive thing about that place is the people that work there.
Mm-hmm.
Management has always been, since I've been there, a little rough. But it was the longest I've ever stayed at a job, and a lot of it was because like the community that was built through it.
Melissa, would you echo that the people were the best part of the job?
Yeah, absolutely. Truly, a couple of employees, mostly back of house employees, have been there for quite some time. And just building community with them has truly been one of the main reasons that I've also been there.
Yeah. So speaking of people, what was Chef Tim Hollingsworth, of course, his like day-to-day involvement in sort of the restaurant when you both were there?
Chef Tim, I want to say, like, when I first started there, he was there a lot. You know, it was always very exciting to see him there, to see him in action. He was very passionate when I first started. Like, every detail truly mattered, like from the trash cans, from little things that you would never imagine. Like, that's also what brought me into, just because I appreciated the attention to detail. However, as he started to get busier with shows or with family, he was there less and less, unfortunately. And ultimately, he just basically wasn't there. Mm-hmm. He would come in maybe once in a blue moon if he had a guest coming in that he really wanted to be there with. But ultimately, I didn't see him as much until the very end when he had to be there, just because we had a lot of people not showing up to work.
Yeah. And Rylee, you as a newer employee, what was your experience with Chef Tim like?
Yeah, I never experienced him being involved really at all. There would be months at a time where I did not see him at all. There's a lot of people that have worked there for a long time that like know him very personally at this point and did not have that experience.
When did you guys first start getting the feeling that the wheels were coming off, so to speak? The first signs that like, you know, the days were numbered on the operation? Because I understand that, you know, the communication of the restaurant actually closing came a little later than expected. When did you first start getting some inklings that like things weren't quite operating as smoothly as they once did?
I mean, for myself, it was when I started to see other people's checks starting to bounce. That was like a bad sign. And overall, that was basically it. And just like the best way I could put it is the lack of certain standards, like certain things that were not important anymore. You're like, oh, that's interesting that it's not important anymore. We just also lacked a lot of resources towards the end.
And I understand that the last few weeks, month, was particularly brutal in terms of work schedule.
Yeah, I worked about 60 hours that week, and several of them were 12-hour days. I was working positions that I was not used to working because we were just so short-staffed. And I know a lot of other people were putting in the same, if not more, hours than that.
Yeah. And Melissa, you had a similar experience, stretched thin towards the end?
Yeah. For the most part, that last month I was working 6 days a week. The last week I worked 7 days. And I would open, close every shift just because, again, the lack of employees for the same reason. There was just no one else to do it.
When did you first realize, hey, I'm not getting paid here. I need to do something about this. Did you ever think like, oh, I'm just going to wait and this is going to resolve itself? Or like, when did you realize you had to do something in order to like bring justice to the situation?
I think after the first week was whenever it started to get really real, because it was still towards the beginning of the month. And then as the next week passed, it was getting closer to rent. And I think after like the second update that was pretty inconclusive was whenever we decided to all get together and like talk about next steps.
And what were like, you guys have been protesting. There's an Instagram account that's been started to, I think, draw attention to the situation and whatnot. I know that there has been some progress in terms of getting you guys paychecks, but I understand that even that has fallen desperately short.
So just like the communication overall in getting the personal checks that Carl was writing himself. They're not even paychecks. They're literally personal checks written to us that people have to get confirmed when they get to the bank, knowing that a lot of the employees have a language barrier. It's been ridiculous, to say the least.
Yeah.
Just because at this point, like, the paychecks that we had were short. There's no proof of anything. Like, you don't even know what you're missing if you know you're missing something. So
when you like see Chef Tim or, you know, Carl in the media giving their statements and talking about like how he's not going to take a paycheck until you guys are paid and whatnot. Like, how does that land with you? Like, some people look at that and are like, yeah, that's a good thing to say. But, you know, when you're not actually getting paid, I assume it rings a little hollow.
I think a lot of it's fully just publicity, because he can say he's not taking a paycheck, but this isn't his only job. This isn't his only project. That man does not live paycheck to paycheck. And so when he says that he's not taking a paycheck, it feels very empty.
Melissa, how does this like sort of behavior by Chef Tim, who's also, by the way, deleted his Instagram because I guess he was getting tagged too much by your guys' account and by other people who are upset by the situation. How does this behavior sort of stack up with the Chef Tim you experienced over your 8 years of working at Otium?
Honestly, like at the end of the day, I think he has really great PR people. And that's, I guess, a very polite way of me saying it. Like I said, towards the end, I didn't see him as much. So I feel like his motives changed a lot. I don't think at the end of the day he was there. I don't know. Like, it's just disappointing, ultimately.
Yeah. It was just a JOB, but not even really. It was more just like a side project for him.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you things stand today? Where are you at in your communications with Carl and Tim, and what have you been promised and what are you fighting for?
Since those paychecks were written and people were starting to question if they were correct and see that they were missing like a lot, I think the majority of us were emailing HR and asking for our pay stubs. They did not get back to any of us. They ended up sending out a message telling us that they would mail them this Friday. And then we got another message saying that they were going to be emailed. So I know Melissa talked to someone on the phone.
Is that right?
I spoke to Carl directly just because I want to say a little confrontational. But I basically was just trying to get answers because on the day that we got our personal checks, I let him know. I was like, my check is short. Like, this is unacceptable. So I reached out to HR and let them know. And then that's when he contacted me. And he told me that he's waiting for HR as well to get us our pay stubs. And then for anyone that's having a language barrier to, I don't know, basically have me translate, which is crazy.
Have you translate for the people that have a language barrier?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to relay as much information. Ultimately, like, yeah. That
is wild. So basically he's asking you to do...
It's just not your job.
Yeah, he's asking you to do more work for their fuck up.
Yeah, absolutely, which is crazy. But I just wanted to help people out at the end of the day. Like, I was not doing this for him. Let me just state that. This is not for him.
Fair.
This is for the lady that's sitting next to me and protesting. That doesn't even know what we're saying, but she's sitting there and she's coming out to the protest every single day because she knows what she deserves. But she, unfortunately, there's some, like I said, there's just some language barriers. But for her, I'll do it. For her, I will absolutely do it.
Mm-hmm.
But for that man, no, absolutely not. But because of the information that I got, I feel like a lot more people were easily able to cash their checks. Like, I got a direct contact in East West Bank. Like, I got the necessary information, which I think helped a lot, or at least I hope it helped a lot.
Do you guys have confidence that you will get your money? Like basically mean like what next steps are available to you? Are we talking legal action? Are we talking getting the California Labor Board involved?
We are still trying to find legal representation, but honestly, I've been trying to get our tip reports and everything just because I also feel like there's some questionable things in our tips. I'm trying to get as much information that we can.
Mm-hmm.
Rylee, I don't know. Rylee, you can take it away from here.
Yeah, we've also contacted a lot of us have like put in claims with the DIR, the Department of Industrial Relations. And they handle all like labor and like wage theft issues, but they're almost 2 years backed up.
Wow.
So it would be about that long until we saw anything from that.
Wow. That's wild. And so in the meantime, I love that you guys aren't just like standing down, that you are like, basically like making your voices heard. I know that there's also this Instagram account, what is it called? I'm going to link it in the show notes, but I believe, is it Otium staff or unpaid staff?
It's unpaid Otium staff, I think.
Yeah.
It's funny that Instagram account started as our like events Instagram, where like they were showing off like the events that we were doing. Like it was like basically showing off like their work at Otium, and then so quickly it turned into, all right, like this is what we're using to get the word out.
I absolutely love that. Good for you guys. It's like, yeah, hey, you want to showcase what's really going on in Otium? Here you go. I've seen some cool, solidarity with you guys. I mean, obviously, like news outlets have come out and like to tell your story, but also I've seen folks talking about boycotting Chain Fest, which obviously Chef Hollingsworth is associated with. My question for you is like, what can we do as interested consumers who are just want to see you guys get paid and treated fairly? What can we do to help?
I think like social media is a really big deal. I think that all of that pressure that we put on them through social media is really what got them scared. It's what got the attention of like the media. And I mean, boycotting Chain Fest would be awesome. I know that a couple people have already asked for a refund and gotten that. If that's possible, it would be great.
Hey, I am urging all of our listeners to boycott Chain Fest. I mean, we're not going. The co-hosts of this podcast are not going to Chain Fest. Don't you worry. Yeah, no, I will. I think social media, there's definitely a power in it, and I think it feels like it's working given the fact that Chef Tim has deleted his Instagram. Literally, did you guys do a little celebration when that happened, or were you like, "Fuck off, man"?
Definitely fuck off.
Yeah. They turned off their ability to tag them like very early in all of this, and then a couple days later it was just gone, and very shady, very much feels like hiding.
Yeah, literally. Then you have to see all the great memes that we made.
Yeah, keep posting them, they're funny. Yeah, I mean, I obviously know a lot of people who are, in your corner and are going to share everything you post. But it really is crazy to me because, Melissa, you and I spoke a little yesterday and we talked about how a lot of these restaurants say that they're family, that the staff is family and whatnot. And they sort of use that as an excuse to sort of proliferate some of this bad behavior.
Absolutely. It's not taking accountability. It's honestly just trying to get away with certain things and just hiding under the gaze of this is family. We're like, okay, well, it just gets very complicated, unfortunately. And using that this is family can be really, really tricky in certain situations, especially this one.
Would you agree with that, Rylee?
Yeah, it reminds me of that one tweet it says if a restaurant ever says that they're a family during the interview, run.
No, seriously.
And it's exactly that. I I didn't believe it, and now
we're here with our family.
Yeah, seriously. Well, I would understand if this has soured your experience of working in hospitality. Or do you plan on continuing in this line of work, or has this made you think, I might look elsewhere for my next gig?
This is the second time in a row this has happened to me. My last job, I went through this exact same thing, and I wasn't paid for a while, and we had to protest and strike. It definitely steers me away because of how much this happens in LA. And how easy it seems, even though California has some of the strictest wage laws. So I'm not sure what's next.
That's totally fair. How about you, Melissa?
Well, I actively work at I bartend somewhere else right now. So there's that. But I'm also just in a position where, man, that really sucked. And I've been at a couple of other places, and ultimately, I'm just at a place as well where I don't know what I'm going to do next. I don't don't know if I want to continue in hospitality, just being that like we were totally lucky that we worked in a space that is essentially celebrity owned, and we got a lot of attention because of that, because Chef Tim is a big name. However, like I can't imagine like being in that situation twice, and like that shit sucks, Rylee. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Like that, literally, like, yeah. And I'm pretty sure there's other employees or other ex-employees that were in the same situation, like with Mezcalero as well, and like other spaces. Like literally, that sucks. Like, no.
Yeah.
Rylee, you might have a future as an organizer.
Oh, I was going to school for social work. This is like right up my alley.
Oh, perfect. Let's go, Rylee.
Yeah, they're lucky to have you, honestly. So, I mean, what would you say to anybody considering working for Chef Tim in the future?
Good luck to you, doggy. Don't get bamboozled.
Don't get bamboozled. Yep.
We had the intention of reaching out to Chef Tim to allow him to provide to comment, but unfortunately, the dude deleted his Instagram, and that wasn't possible any longer, right? I would be interested to know from you, is there anything he could do, like anything he could do to make this right to the point where you would be like, okay, the dude did the right thing?
Literally just say you're sorry. He can just say he's sorry. Like, say you're sorry. Own up, doggy. Take accountability. Like,
accountability, yes.
Put a genuine statement out that literally, it's so crazy. Like, how many emails did you get and you couldn't say sorry? Like,
yep.
Just admit this was wrong. This was poor business practice. Like, literally, like, anything like that.
Yeah, especially because Chef Tim is making himself a victim in this too. And it's not the same. Like, you're not on the same level as we are. You are not, it's not like, there's no relatability there. And that's the reason he won't say sorry, because he doesn't believe like we're the only ones that are struggling because of this. I don't know. I think he should take accountability, obviously, like publicly, but there's nothing he could do that would make me work for him again or honestly like respect him as a business owner.
Completely understandable. We will be, following this closely and rooting for you guys as you, continue this. I think the worst thing that can happen is if people forget about it, right? And sort of go back to normal relationships with these people and their business practices. And I think you brought up a really good point, Rylee, with your past experience, that this is not just happening at Otium, but like bad business happens across the industry. And it's something that we as consumers need to be really aware about. So I just want to wish you guys the best of luck as you continue on this. We'll be supporting you, and I hope you know that there's a bunch of people in the Los Angeles restaurant community who are rooting for you guys and who will be like continuing to sharing the story and make sure that it's not going to go away anytime soon. Any last things you want to add?
We appreciate y'all for doing this, and like all of the media that has reached out to us and wanted to put the word out. It means a lot, and it's very cool to see.
Yeah. Duh. Well, look, as I said, we're rooting for you. And I hope that, next time if we get another update, it'll be much more positive news. But in the meantime, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the LA Food Podcast presented by Rusty's Chips. Thanks to our guests, Rylee Ratcliff and Melissa Mendoza, for making the time to speak with us. Thanks as always to Father Saul for joining us as well. Thanks to Adam Skaggs, Tim Bertolini, Tiffany Perez, and Abdo Hajj for helping us produce this podcast. And thanks to you, dear listener, of course, for listening and for leaving us a review. If you like what you heard, please go leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. That stuff really helps us make our way up the charts and get our podcast to more listeners. We'll be back next week with another epic episode. But if you're looking for me in the meantime, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and YouTube at the LA Countdown. That's TheLaCountdown. Don't forget also to subscribe to our free Substack newsletter, where you can find the links to all the stories we discussed on today's podcast. We posted that in the show notes. And you can also find us on Instagram at LA Food Pod. That's LAFOODPOD.